Leader after the formation of the broad-based government, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka has also been wooing the Murema vote bloc after the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua as deputy president. But what are the highlights and reflection of Kalonzo in 2024? Elizabeth Mutuku had a sit-down with the son of Sekuru, who is, by the way, celebrating his birthday today.
Thank you so much for watching TV 47 and keeping it real with us. I'm Elizabeth Mutuku. And today, on the year 2024, we give focus to Wiper leader, Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, on the year, and we're going to focus, among other key issues, IEBC, the Gen Z protest, among other major events which we had in the year, from his perspective and his words, what he thinks of the year. And remember, you're going to converse with us through 22047, as well as our social media handles, and definitely we're going to consider your views and your concerns, and as well as your questions. Thank you so much, leader, for giving me an opportunity today.
Thank you, Liz, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday too. I am glad it's another round in the sun. And I will start by asking, how was your year?
The year has been, well, we thank God. We thank God that we're coming to the end of it, and of course Christmas time. I think it's in order for me to wish all your viewers a very Merry Christmas and a 2025 full of God's grace and achievement. At the end of everything, the conclusion of the matter is God. So 2024 has been a very difficult year to a lot of Kenyans. I remember it started with flooding around about April, May. Serious flooding, city residents in particular are badly affected, and people out there in areas like Garissa and other places flooding. And this problem of flooding continues even as we speak. Nyando River has burst its banks again. So it's a perennial problem. But beyond that, there was the problem of the Gen Z revolution. Young Kenyans came out and demanded justice for their country, accountability. They wanted a demonstration that it makes sense to vote in a government. And therefore the essence of democracy. And it was on the 25th of June, a day in my view we should be declared a national day. All right? A national day.
25th of June.
25th of June, when Parliament was breached by the young Kenyans. And they only wanted to go and serve a memorandum to their members of Parliament. But how was that treated? Rushed proceedings, and which angered the youth. And then the police came in, the snipers, and we had to bury a lot of young people. I remember I attended the funeral of one of them, Rex Masai, in Mitaboni. And Kenyans were demanding justice. I've seen the documentation on Citizen TV yesterday. In fact, captures a little bit of what happened. The history of this country cannot be the same. And we cannot ignore what happened on the 25th of June, when, according to me, the legitimacy of the 13th Parliament was put to question. Very serious question. Because members of Parliament had to escape through the tunnel. They abandoned Parliament. And again, the legitimacy of the administration, the executive. We all know, up to that time, Parliament had been captured. We talk of state capture of Parliament, all right? And this was real. I remember even my friend Raila used to talk about state capture that time.
Do you think that anything has changed from the view of public to the Parliament?
It has changed. I don't think Kenyans have faith in the 13th Parliament. It's as simple as that. Therefore, even if they try to bring backdoor amendments to Finance Act 2024, because that's what we've been trying to do, Kenyans know that this is an impeached parliament. The only thing is, we do not have an alternative because the matter was not brought to its logical conclusion. But why were Kenyans demonstrating in the first place? I mean, transparency. But before that, remember, we had demonstrations in 2023 against a finance bill that time. Became act. We were tear gassed. We were almost killed. In 2024, the youth came up and said, you guys take a back seat. We think this over-taxation is a problem. A lot of companies who are based in Kenya have since translocated to neighboring countries of Uganda and Tanzania, meaning that those are job opportunities lost for Kenyans. So it doesn't make sense to say you're creating jobs for Kenyans in Saudi Arabia or in the URA or wherever it is, when you are, of course, making through your taxation taxation measures, you're making it impossible for any company to invest in Kenya.
The issues which the Gen Z,
yes,
young people raised, which is accountability, transparency, among other key issues.
They have not been addressed. They have not been addressed. Look at the latest example. William Ruto had said he was going to cut down on the number of his political advisors. Now he's raised it up by 50%. Haven't I seen something like that? More advisors, right? Of course.
From where they seated the events of June 25th, they see them as a way of overthrowing the government. And that is what they insist. And they say it was politically instigated.
Who? Who says it was politically instigated?
The Kenya Kwanza government leaders.
But they are politicians. When they say politically instigated, what have they done? They made promises to say they were going to compensate for the lives of the young people who were brought down by police bullets. Remember, the only thing that happened was the resignation of Inspector General of Police, nothing else. Just that. Mr. Bungei remains a regional police boss, who was the one responsible for overseeing the killing of the young people. Okay? And of course, the entire setup up to the minister responsible for security. They were the ones responsible. And they gave promises that they are going to compensate for the lives lost because these young people were exercising their constitutional rights under the Constitution, Article 37, the right to demonstrate, to picket, the only condition, unarmed. I remind Kenyans, these young people only holding a bottle of water and the national flag. None of them was carrying stones until they hired goons. The administration hired goons to come and disrupt the youth-led demonstrations.
The blame game continues on.
No, these are Kenyans know, the international community know, Liz, that it was this government that killed the youths. All right? And they continue to abduct them. All right?
Do you think justice has been served to the young people who were killed, others injured, and businesses
no justice served. This is why some of us are saying, instead of William Ruto saying that he's forming a broad-based government, he should have called a convention at Bomas or someplace. Say that we need this, because actually we recommended that under the NADCO report, if you remember, National Dialogue Committee report. Kenyans wanted a national conversation. Now it is too late. What William Ruto has been doing is poaching from Jubilee, poaching from, he has not poached from Wiper, fortunately, poaching from ODM and poaching. Yeah, and in a manner that is reminiscent of people who are desperate for something.
Now that you've spoken of poaching and the broad-based government, there are the new appointees from the Jubilee Party and ODM. What do you think of these appointments and how do you speak of them?
Patchwork, desperate attempts to gain legitimacy, which legitimacy was taken out on the 25th of June by young Kenyans. Now, no attempt has been made to address those challenges. Absolutely none. All right? Including, by the way, even compensation for those affected by the flooding. All the promises have been... This is why Kenyans are saying enough is enough of politics of lies. Lies. Uongo mtupu. All right? So, but to answer you on these other nominations, which of course are waiting to be, some of them to be vetted, the cabinet secretaries. I've spoken this before. For example, I don't even know whether there's any minister from Jubilee, because I think Mutahi Kagwe was not Jubilee. I think it was some other party. Governor Lee Kinyanjui, I think, was Ubuntu. Kabogo was in Kenya Kwanza, yeah, Kenya Kwanza himself. Jibebe or something.
But they were all Azimio and close allies of former president.
Kabogo was not.
No,
Kabogo was,
yes, Kabogo was from the, but
Kenya
the others
Kwanza.
were in.
If they are allies, fine. Azimio allies, we can take that.
And they are
but
allies of former president.
Therefore, on the authority of the Secretary General of Jubilee, these are not Jubilee sanctioned. These are not Jubilee sanctioned nominations. Just like those from ODM, Raila and the team came and said they were not ODM sanctioned. These are poaching efforts. If they were sanctioned, they would have started with what I said, a national convention. Their leaders will come. I would myself happily avail myself to that kind of conversation, because that was what Kenyans wanted in the first place under NADCO. All right? We would all have gathered together, ask ourselves, the youth are having this problem.
The appointments are...
Then we'll now agree on a broad base.
The appointments in the Jubilee camp and allies of Azimio are coming after a meeting with the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, who also, I understand...
I think it's just taking advantage. In my view, it is taking advantage of meetings that are private.
Were you aware of the meeting prior?
No, I wasn't aware, but I saw the statement by President Uhuru. All right? Uhuru and Raila believed that there should be a national convention. Without a national convention, I want Kenyans to believe me that this is not a broad base. This is somebody trying to survive politically by having a photo op with Uhuru Kenyatta, and after that, appoint people very quickly, right? As happened with ODM. Therefore, for me, nothing has changed. The revolution is ongoing. And the culmination of this revolution will be the next election. Therefore, the need to have in place an IEBC. And this IEBC is so critical. I've myself said, if by March there's no way forward on this thing, Kenyans again will be free to demonstrate.
You have been blamed by the other side, that is the government side,
a case of
derailing the process through court cases.
I don't know how they can blame the victim, because it was agreed that the 2 slots for Azimio, one went to Professor Olo Adams of ODM, the other one went to Koome, and Kenya Kwanza sponsored a proxy in the party I've never even had. I don't remember which party it is, but they gave him all the resources, caused confusion, and eventually Koome won the case in court. And instead of Ruto now appointing the 9 panelists, they gave 1 week to Muli to go to appeal. So if they want progress, they just get Muli to withdraw the appeal. Muli is not Wiper, so you can't blame me.
So from where...
If Muli was Wiper, they can... I mean, Augustus, I think there are 2 Mulis. If Augustus Muli was Wiper, then they can blame me.
From where you're seated, you think the stalemate can only be unlocked by the government?
By Ruto. By Ruto. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Because they are ones who encouraged... there's a judge who sits in Kiambu. He's the one who gave orders on instructions to do so. This is why, again, as a member of the bar team in Kenya, we think that there's something grossly wrong sometimes with the administration of justice. So we need to look at the whole thing. You know, I've kept on saying that our judiciary was the last line of defense. But some in the judiciary are getting misused. And this is what happened in this case of Koome and the other Muli, right? To rush instead of getting within that 1 week. For Ruto, had he wanted, he would have moved and now appointed the 9. Because the problem is, you cannot appoint 8 and leave out 1, right?
But
so then they're playing that game, blame game. But I think the country is, Kenyans are wiser than you want to assume.
Even as the back and forth continues, there are people who have no leaders, especially substantive leaders.
Banisa constituency in the northeast, and a lot of other constituencies.
Over
even
2
Wandai, where Wandai was himself MP, what is it called? constituency.
So what is the way forward? Because these Kenyans need their leaders with the IEBC in place.
For William Ruto to show them, to demonstrate leadership for once. For once. Say, let me get this panel in place. We are ready to help him.
And
because
you believe you are not to be
it's
blamed?
all of us. Sorry?
You believe you are not to be blamed?
Of course, I have no blame whatsoever. Absolutely. Because Ruto wants to end up with a commission which he can control. This is the problem. And we are saying no. There must be an independent commission at the end of the day. And under NADCO recommendations, we had even made it very clear that him and Raila, because they are the principals, right, should agree on who becomes the chair of IEBC, who becomes whatever. Now I'm not quite sure whether it should not be me because I'm the de facto leader of the opposition. My friend Raila has gone to AU.
You've spoken of yourself being the de facto leader of the opposition.
Not me, Kenyans know.
Kenyans,
the last man standing. Even Raila called me and laughed yesterday. I said, man, you are the last man standing.
But Junaid, on the other side, he keeps saying also...
Junaid, please, let's not talk that language. Let's not talk that language.
He's not the de facto leader, you are.
No, let's not.
You've spoken something very critical of the justice on matters IEBC and in the Supreme Court and justice not being served on various cases. And one is left wondering also, there are other lawyers who feel that the Supreme Court, something is happening, and there is the question on whether yourself and others are looking forward for a friendly bench.
For me, it is very easy. They want to throw out Mother Koome. It's very clear. The same conspirators which brought about the impeachment of the deputy president, the same conspirators are now trying to throw out Justice Koome.
Interesting. All right. That is the part one of that interview. We're taking a very fast short break at this point. We're coming back with the second part of that. Stay with us.